parent affiliates. CMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is Caregiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teal. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teal, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi everyone and welcome to Caregiver Solutions Info Show. I'm your host Marcia Teal and I'm happy you could join us today. This show is for you, the non-paid family caregiver. If you're caring for someone that can't care for themselves and you are confused, overwhelmed, just at a loss, this is great for you because we give lots of great advice. We give wise advice. We also have experts in the field that come here and give you lots of their professional advice, absolutely free, just so that you can have a better experience at caregiving, because it is a hard journey, probably one of the hardest things that you'll ever have to do in your life, and we want to help you and make it better. So if you are caring for a senior and you need help, then today's episode is perfect for you because I have the expert that you'll need to talk about senior help. And with me today, joining me right here on the set, is Amy Decker, and she's with Senior Helpers. And hi, Amy,
Hi,
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down to the show.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, so happy that you're here. You're the Director of Client Services for Senior Helpers.
Right.
And I've known Amy many years, and we've done a lot of work together, and she's an awesome person, so I'm glad that you're here to share with us today.
Thank you.
So just to get started, why don't you tell everyone what is Senior Helpers and what do they do?
Okay. So Senior Helpers is a private duty home health agency that we go into the home and take care of your loved one, bathing, grooming, whatever it is that needs to be done personally within the home. We are an agency, which is different than a registry, so we come with liability insurance, workers' comp, impeccable training for our caregivers. And we do anything from an hour to 24 hours, whatever is needed. It could be short term, somebody coming home from the hospital, or long term.
Great. Okay, so you definitely help seniors.
Yes.
And therefore, great name, right?
Yep.
Great company name.
Right.
Now, you're the Director of Client Services. What role do you play within Senior Helpers?
So I usually get all the initial phone calls as they come in. Very often, by the time we get that phone call, we've got very frustrated, upset family members trying to find care for their loved one, whether it's an emergency or something that's been put off for a long period of time. So I try to get everybody calmed down, meet with them, get into the home, figure out what their needs are, and just try and match the perfect caregiver up with the family members so that they become family members with them too.
I would say your job is not easy.
It's not easy. It's a challenge every day, but that's what I love about it. Because I have so many different things that I do, whether it's, meeting them firsthand, or once we get care in place, hand holding to make sure everything runs smoothly. Very often we do transition care. If they have to move into a building, we'll be with them to get them introduced into a building. So
wonderful.
I love it.
Busy days.
Yeah,
Busy days.
I love it.
I know you've been in this field helping seniors, not just with senior helpers,
Right.
but helping seniors for at least 10 years.
Yes.
From different aspects, from the legal aspect,
Right.
working with an elder law attorney, to healthcare, which is what you're doing now,
Right.
even up to end of life, because you are a volunteer for hospice.
That's right.
And so I love you are in all aspects of healthcare,
Right.
and you're so knowledgeable and you have so much experience, and that's why I'm so glad you could be here today
Aw.
to share everything that you know. I love that. So there are a lot of things that you do personally that the company does, and I want to touch today on a few of those things
Sure.
because I think that our audience here would like to know about some of the things that are out there for resources that can help them, that can help their loved ones. And of course, everyone knows that education is key.
Right.
And so the more we're educated about any topic, the better we'll be at it, right?
Of course, yes.
So the first thing I want to talk about is something that you all do. It's called a virtual dementia tour. And I've been through them before, and I think it's such an awesome experience, but we never really talk much about it on the show. And I know that Senior Helpers is a certified presenter because it's a national program, but you
Right.
have to be certified in being able to conduct these programs
Right.
around.
The
And it's
experience, yeah.
it is an experience,
Right.
and it's all over the country. But you all do it here in South Florida. So why don't you let everybody know what is a virtual dementia tour?
So people hear the word virtual, so they're thinking, oh, we're going to sit down in front of a computer and get on the computer and then do something virtual with it. They don't realize when they come in, we're putting goggles on their ears of static and background sound and what it would be like to have a bad hearing aid. We put things over their eyes so that they're completely confused. We've got strobe lights going on. We put several sets of gloves on their hands so they can't really touch. You know, they can't pick things up and touch it. They've got little prickly things in their shoes. So as they're walking, their feet hurt and they can't hear and they can't see.
But why do you do all that to somebody?
It's wonderful. Believe it or not, it is such an eye opener for caregivers, for family members, for anybody that deals with seniors. If they've got anybody with memory impairment, it gives you exactly what that person is going through. And then we give them 3 different things that they have to do once they get into the room, and they realize how difficult it is. If they can even hear, to pick up a piece of paper with your fingers like that, to walk around the room with the little prickly things in your shoes, to hear this static going off in your ears. And very often, because we do always suggest that the family members come, number one, family members come, and they will sometimes get so completely overwhelmed and sit down in the bed and burst into tears because they realize, oh my goodness, this is what my wife has been going through, and I get angry with her and I didn't understand it. Or caregivers, this is why she's not listening, or I have to repeat myself. Or so for people that are really in tune to and caregiving, it's a game changer.
So you're trying to simulate the experience to a person without dementia
Right.
of what someone with dementia and all the other physical ailments
Right.
go through on a daily basis to open their eyes to what's really going on with their loved one.
And it's very emotional because once they've left the room, then we take the gloves and everything off and sit down and interview them and say, so what did you get out of that? And they're in tears or they're in awe. Like, I had no idea that this is what they go through. So we do it with fire department, police department. We do it in a lot of the assisted living buildings. We always, suggest that staff and loved ones attend it. It's great. It's great.
I experienced that myself and saw people crying, and I can attest to everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
And when someone is garbed up, as they call it,
Right.
garbed up, and they have all of these things that it's a sensory limitation.
Right.
All of it's sensory limitations. And they can't do what they normally would do. They get scared.
Right.
Right? And they get confused.
So they start wandering around the room, or you'll watch and they're looking at the bed and they're picking socks up off the bed. And then you wonder, that's why they do those things. They can't hear, they don't know so they're walking around the room looking, I should be doing something and I don't know what I should be doing. So they fold papers and pick up socks and they find themselves doing it. And it's like, this is exactly what my mom or my wife or my husband's doing, and now you know why.
Yeah, yeah, it is such an amazing experience.
It is.
And you provide that as a service for not only the people that you hire so they can understand the people that they care for,
Right.
but the families to know what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just think that's totally amazing, and it's such a good thing for people to be aware of because they don't get it sometimes.
No, and even like I said, fire department, police department, they don't understand when they're showing up maybe at a scene and somebody's got dementia, exactly what that person is going through. So now that they do, they can understand it more. They know how to handle that person in a loving way.
So would you say that by someone going through a virtual dementia tour, they end up with more compassion?
Absolutely. You can't help but. You'd have to have a heart of stone if you didn't walk out of there and not just feel such emotion for your loved one. So absolutely.
Yeah, it really is something,
It
isn't
is,
it?
yep.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, Amy Decker is going to be here telling us more about how they help seniors. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Arden Court's memory care community has the expertise and experience to simplify and enhance your loved one's life and to protect you, finding the peace of mind you deserve. Come, see the difference in a facility like Arden Courts that is 100% dedicated to Alzheimer's and dementia care can have on your loved one. Call us at 888-478-2410 or visit our website, arden-courts.com. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teal, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on caregiversolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Welcome back, and I am here with my special guest, Amy Decker. Amy is with Senior Helpers. She's the Director of Client Services, and we're talking about all things that can help you with your caregiving because Senior Helpers help seniors, and they're here to help you also. So great information so far, Amy, that you're talking about how you educate people and get them to understand more about what dementia is like.
Right.
And speaking of dementia, you are trained specifically by a renowned dementia expert named Teepa Snow.
Right.
And I don't know if you all out there have heard of Teepa Snow, but she's pretty awesome, and she's one of the experts in training people to train the trainer,
Right.
to learn more about not just what dementia is, but most importantly, how to interact and communicate with a person that has dementia.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, I mean, you can know dementia on paper, but if you haven't interacted
Right.
with a person with dementia for any length of time, it's a whole different story.
Whole different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about your experience with Teepa Snow and what she taught you.
So I assist on the initial onboarding or interview process with all of our caregivers, and part of their training is the 4-hour Teepa Snow GEMS course that I've been taught, and then I spend 4 hours with them just giving them mostly information on what happens to the brain, what's happening to the body with dementia, why they have to repeat themselves so many times and you have to tell them things so many times. A lot of it is how to deal with difficult situations. She teaches us how to do a hand under hand where you can give assistance to the person that you're feeding so that you're not shoving a spoon in their face. So she gives you ways of, and there's simple tools that you don't even think about it until you see it and think, oh my, why didn't I think of that?
Right.
So she gives you tools that you can work with, whether it's helping them take a shower if they don't want to eat, ambulating through the house, different things that they're going to do. I want to go home. I just want to go home. And people, you are home. What do you mean? This is your house. She gives you ways of answering that it just completely turns the whole story around.
Yeah,
So,
and that's what I love about it because she's
Yeah.
so practical.
Yes,
And
yes.
and common sense things,
Right.
like you said, why didn't I think of that?
Right.
But it's the way to communicate, to interact, to redirect,
Mostly redirect, yes. And it just sort of, it puts the fire out in a really difficult situation when they want to start getting combative, or you're dealing with somebody that's got sundowners a certain time of the day. So she's phenomenal. And we just actually, recently, a couple of weeks ago, hosted TIPA. So she came into Boynton, and we were able to offer this to all the families in Palm Beach County, caregivers, professionals.
Wow.
For many, it was their first time there. So she was there for the full day, and it was just phenomenal. And it was just so good to see, because she has the audiences all interact with each other. And you saw people tearing up. We had Kleenex boxes all over the place, because it was like, I never thought about that. So it was beautiful. And you saw them walk out with just self-esteem and a little bit more, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can go home and do this, and I'm going to try this. And
More confidence.
way more confidence. And so if you missed out on TIPA in Boynton, she is going to be in the Stewart, Jupiter area. I believe it's February 9th. And it's also a 2-part series where she's going to be talking. So,
And is that open to the public?
it's free to the public.
Free
It's free to the public.
free to the public.
Free to the public, and to professionals, she's offering CEUs and CLEs and
Wonderful.
So, yep.
So if you're interested in knowing more about what we've just talked about with TIPA Snow, you don't want to miss this chance. If you
don't wanna
could
miss
get
it.
up there to the Jupiter area, and you can contact senior helpers for more information.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and give your phone number to the office so if anybody wanted to check in without that.
So the office number is 561-969-9990. And you can ask for me, Amy Decker, or you can ask for the owner, Michael Mole, and they'll give you information of where TIPA is going to be, and we can send you more information on
And
that.
let everybody know how to register.
Exactly.
Because you do want them to register.
Yes, because it's limited seating, right?
Okay.
And we can have up to 300 per session, so it is limited seating, and there has to be an
Well, I would
RSVP.
definitely recommend everyone go
Yes.
to that, because
Yes.
it is really, really, profound what she can teach you, and it's simple, but everyone can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that you just got to learn.
Right, and we even told people, they were like, oh, I have a doctor's appointment that morning, and I thought, you know what, it's worth, reschedule it. Go see TIPA, it's so worth it.
Yeah.
She's really been great.
Yeah. Well, she comes originally from West Virginia.
Yes, she does.
So she's got a really cool accent, and
She
my
does.
family originally is all from West Virginia, so I have identified with
She's
her
great.
right off the bat. I think that is wonderful. And so now that she's trained you, then you become a trainer, and
Right.
you can train others.
Right. So that's another thing that we offer to the fire department, to police department. Very often we'll put caregivers into the home, and there's so many different facets to dementia. You've got Lewy body and Parkinson's and all these so everyone has their own little specialty thing that they're going to need assistance with. So very often we have to go into the home then and kind of retrain the caregiver. This is what you do during this difficult
Because this person
situation.
has a specific diagnosis.
Right. Or they're more combative after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They don't want to change their clothes. They don't want to eat. They're, whatever it is, we can go in then and just show them the simple tools of how to make a better day for everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the GEMS program just for a second when you talked about TIPA.
Yeah.
What is that?
So the GEMS program, TIPA put together a GEMS list. And instead of using, these are different levels of dementia, it's more unique. They're valuable. Everybody's valuable and unique. So how you handle that person is going to be very different. So she starts with sapphire, and then she's got rubies and emeralds and pearls, and it kind of gives you the sequence of where they're going as their brain is
As they progress.
Yes. And then you know exactly, as she goes through every single gem, you know exactly where that person is and what their needs are. And again, everybody's a little bit different, but it's a great program.
And each of those gems represents a level or a step in the progress of the disease,
Right.
which corresponds to a way that you would be able to care for them.
Right. That's
Yeah,
right.
That's
Mhm.
great.
Right.
That's great. And so you teach that course also.
Yeah, and some, you'll notice sometimes they want to walk around and touch things, or they're putting things in their mouth, or they're hoarding things. You realize that their peripheral vision has gone from this to this. And so that's why they want to put things close to them, because they can't see it. They can't see that they've got something on their shirt. If this is what their peripheral is towards the end, and you're sticking a spoon in their mouth, they don't see the spoon coming. So they're rearing back. They don't want to eat. They don't know what's touching their mouth. You find out their lips, mouth, and tongue the palms of their hands and fingers, the bottoms of their feet and genital area are super duper sensitive. So they can cut their back and not know it, but then that's why they like to touch things, or they don't like to get in the shower. It's sensitive. They don't want the spoon in their mouth. They don't want to be bathed or changed.
So that brings up a good point. So when a family is caring for someone in their own home and they come up to a difficult situation, like they don't want to open their mouth to eat food, or they don't want to go in the shower, can you give a couple practical tips of how they could help someone at home using some of those techniques?
Sure. So one of the techniques that she teaches us is called hand under hand assistance. So she'll literally sit on whatever side, if they're right or they're left-handed, whatever the strong side of their body is, and it's a literal hand under hand. That way they have a spoon going into their mouth. She's moving their hand with her hand to allow them to have their own personal, so they're going to be more apt to put the spoon in their mouth because they feel it coming into their mouth.
So they're actually doing this,
They're
and
doing
she's
it.
guiding
She's
their
guiding
hand.
it. So they can say, I don't want that. I want more of that. I don't like what that tastes like. You can do it with brushing teeth, brushing hair, putting on dentures, putting on jewelry. So they feel independent. I have say-so over what's happening to my body, and you're not diving at them and doing it for them.
Yeah.
Which immediately then they don't like it.
Right,
So you're
because
giving
they
them more
feel
independence.
that they're part of that
Decision making.
and the action,
Right.
and they're part of the procedure, they're part of doing that activity.
Right.
And I can see that, you
And
know.
those are things that families argue with, or they don't want to change their clothes. I'm not changing my clothes. I just changed my clothes. And just the very simple way of getting another outfit that looks just like the one they have on. And as you're singing a song, you're putting on a new, and you're not fighting over changing the clothes. So often they make a big deal out of what you got. It's time for a shower. You haven't had.
That's a
Don't bring
biggie.
it up. Don't bring it up. Don't say it in their face. Now they're just start singing a song and walk into the shower and start doing it without saying this is what we're doing.
So you don't really prep them because you don't want to tell them what you're doing?
You
or-
very often, if you say this is what we're doing, they're not going to want to do it. So we have found, and everybody's different.
Right.
Figure out what era of music that they like. We'll have the caregivers put it on their phone and turn the music on. And they hear that music, and it just brings them to a beautiful place. And now they're in a beautiful place, and they don't care where they're going, and we're dancing down the hallway doing the jitterbug right into the shower. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on the night. But it's just a better way of getting them to do things that they don't want to do without forcing.
Yeah, and you don't want to force, and
No.
you can't force.
No.
But you don't want to argue much either, and
You can't.
And that's what happens, or plead, and it becomes a struggle, and that's the biggest one for caregivers.
Yeah.
Is, it becomes a struggle.
And
of,
you're never
of
going to change
wills.
their mind. They believe what they believe, and regardless of how you fight with them, you're not going to change that. So you can only just redirect.
Okay.
And it works
So we've said that word a couple
Yeah.
times. So if someone's a brand new caregiver, they might not know what you mean by redirect. Why don't you explain that?
So that is one of the things that they will go through as far as training with me. So we'll spend 4 hours of what you have to do to redirect. So it's exactly that. I want to go home. I just want to go home. This isn't my house. It's, after 4 o'clock and sundowning has set in. I just want to go home. And what they're really saying is, this is not comfortable for me. This is not my home. I want to go to the place where I'm comfortable. So then you can start talking about, what are you feeling right now? What's that feeling? And are your feet cold? Sometimes their feet are cold. They're hungry. So in their mind, I want to go home. It's because they want to go to that feeling of when they were at home. So redirecting is talking about food that they might want to eat, or let's put some more socks on their feet, or let's go outside and see if those flowers have bloomed yet, or so-and-so's kitties over there. Just redirect. If you can redirect them, all of a sudden they're thinking of something else.
Right. So get the topic changed.
Change the
so,
topic.
So they don't obsess about it.
Exactly.
Because they will obsess about something.
Right. Or you can even say, come here a minute. I want you to help me with something. I think you can do it. You seem really strong. You're really smart. Come, help me with this thing. And then and now they're setting the table and they forgot that they want to go home.
Right.
That's redirecting.
Yeah, that's redirecting, and anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it.
It's just
You need the tools to do it.
exactly. Yeah, and you're used to dealing with your loved one, your spouse, your parent, whoever it is you're caring for,
Right.
in a certain way. But when dementia comes into the picture, it's a whole nother way of interacting, and you can't.
They're not the same person.
No, they're not the same person.
And that's the hardest thing for people. And now they'll say, that's my dad, or that's my husband, or that's my. So they see their wife, they hear their wife's voice, they expect what comes out of her mouth and her actions are going to be the wife, and it's not.
No.
It's not. And it's just letting them know it's okay that you're frustrated.
Yeah, and caregivers, don't worry about being perfect. And I
Right.
think a lot of caregivers try to be martyrs and try to do it perfectly. We feel, people in the healthcare field know you're doing the best you can.
Right.
But the more you learn, the better it will be, and the better you will be at it.
Right.
So I'm glad y'all are listening to the show or watching us on the website, caregiversolutions.info, because this is good stuff. This is real.
And especially women, they want to keep their house nice. They want to keep, but maybe their husband just wants to empty the silverware on the counter every day and put it back give him simple things to do. Let him do it. If it's something that he wants to do, put the silverware out. It's okay if he wants to refold the towels wrong. If that makes him happy to do that, let him do it.
Right.
Nothing has to be perfect. Just make it for the moment.
Right, and if it's an activity that's going to make them happy because
Right.
they think they're helping,
Right.
and yet
They need a purpose.
They need a purpose. Yeah, they need something to do. Everybody wants to feel they are important in the world.
We are raised as small children to think, I can't wait to grow up and maybe have a family and have a job and drive a car and own a house and mow the lawn and help people and be a good neighbor and then all of a sudden, little by little, those things are all taken away from you.
Yeah.
And then you lose your car. And now you're living on your own, and now you need somebody to help you take a shower. So often they'll say, I hope you're okay. My dad's really crabby and he's resistant to care. We're used to that because we've got compassion. We understand. They've lost all those. So if you can give them something beneficial to do that they feel useful, and to say, hey, come help me with something. I think you can do this with me. Or laundry to fold, or whatever it is, they've got something to do.
Sweep the sidewalk.
Yes.
I mean, guys like to
hose,
sweep.
hose off the sidewalk.
Yeah.
A lot of them like to just hose it off.
Wash the car.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have to go back out after
Who
him
cares?
and spray the suds off a little bit better.
But he had an activity that day, and his brain felt good, and his adrenaline's kind of running a little bit because he did something with his body.
Yeah, and that's going to be really good for them going forward, because when they feel good and those endorphins kick in
Yeah.
for that moment,
Right.
they're not going to be as stubborn. They're not going to be as resistant to some things because they have the feel good in
Right.
there.
That's right.
Yeah, it's all good,
Right.
people.
Right.
Good stuff. All right, well, we got to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be giving away a free book. You don't want to miss this. All you need is a pen and paper to write the information down, and you'll get a free book, and it's really a good one. So we'll be right back and give you that information.
Feelings of depression, isolation, and frustration are common among persons living with Alzheimer's or related dementias. It's common among those who care for them, too. It takes a lot of patience and courage. It also takes knowing when you can no longer do it alone. At Arden Courts, memory care is all we do. Talk to us. We know. We understand. We can help. Don't let guilt keep you from making the right decision. Visit arden-courts.com. Arden Courts follows equal housing opportunity.
You are
guidelines.
listening to your host, Marsha Teal, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on caregiversolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marsha. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Welcome back. At this time, I'd like to thank our national sponsor, Arden Courts Memory Care Community. Arden Courts is part of the ProMedica family of care, and Arden Courts is memory only. In other words, they're 100% dedicated to memory care. They have about 50 plus Arden Courts throughout the United States. They are memory care assisted living, and they are a leader in the field, and they want to help you, the family caregiver. So if you're listening to this program or you're watching it, Please get this book because it is absolutely free for you. It's called Untangling Alzheimer's, and it was written by Dr. Tam Cummings. This book is a wonderful resource for family caregivers. It explains a lot of the questions that you might have about the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. It talks about different types of dementia. It talks about how to do some of the things that Amy today has been talking about on the show to help you. So all you have to do to get this book is to send an email to delray@arden-courts.com. Tell them that you heard about the free book offer on the Caregiver Solutions Info Show. Give them your name, your address, and your telephone number, and tell them that you'd like to get the Untangling Alzheimer's book, and they'll be happy to mail it to you. Again, that email address is delray, D-E-L-R-A-Y, at Arden, A-R-D-E-N, dash courts, C-O-U-R-T-S.com. So send an email today and you'll be happy to get this book for your own self, and it will really be a great resource for you. And speaking of great resources, my guest today is Amy Decker. She's with Senior Helpers here in this county. Senior Helpers is a national company.
Yep, and everyone has a franchise. And so we are from Lake Worth to Delray, but we all work well together. We're a great big company, like a big happy family. So if we end up getting somebody that's not within our territory, we know they're going to be in great hands, whatever.
Okay, so no matter where you are, if you're listening to the show and you're like, wow, I might want to, get some of the services, call, and then they'll put you in touch with the person in another area if you don't live within their designated service area.
Right.
So they're all over the country.
Yep.
Yeah, and we go all over the country with the show. So thank you for that.
Yes.
One of the things that is very important, and we touched about it just a little bit because it's something that you do as the Director of Client Services there, is help the adult children.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about adult children. You deal with them all the time to help them with the problems when they have aging parents. But there's a new resource coming to town soon.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So Shane Silver from Silver Realty, Keller Williams, is putting together a group. It's called ACAP, which stands for Adult Children of Aging Parents. And it's going to be a group that meets once a month with educational speakers. It's going to give you resources. And I've been asked to be part of the leadership committee. So I believe there's going to be about 10 of us. And so she's handpicked them from different professions. So because I started with elder law, then I kind of worked with end of life. There's so many different people. There's so many resources that we have, from contractors to whatever it is they need in the home. So this isn't a group of professionals that meet like a normal networking event, but it's family members, adult children that are dealing with aging parents. And very often they're that sandwich group. So they've got jobs and kids at home, but now they've got their mom and dad that they have to deal with.
Exactly.
And it's daunting, it's frustrating, it's emotional. And if they live in New Jersey or Boston, they don't even know where to begin. What do I do in Palm Beach County? How do I do this?
Right.
So we invite them to be part of the meetings. I believe part of it is also going to be a Zoom portion.
That's good for people that are far away.
Right. So we're kind of in the infant steps of putting it together, but it's going to be a wonderful resource group for those that just need assistance and guidance. TIPA Snow gives you little simple tools and things. We're hoping we can be the TIPA Snow for the children to say, this is what you do and these are the resources.
So this is like a support group for adult children of people that have aging parents.
That's right.
Okay, so
That's right.
Why are support groups important?
Oh, they're so important.
And not just for adult children.
Right. For everybody. And like I said, that initial phone call that we get that comes into the office that I need assistance, there is so much hand holding and listening and comfort. And because they are at such a frustrating, emotional time, if it's their spouse, they don't want to see their spouse like this. They want them to keep their dignity. So we're happy to offer resources of whatever it is they need to be able to give them peace of mind again. Very often the caregiver ends up getting sick and passes almost before the poor person that's got dementia that they're dealing with because they burn themselves out.
That's true.
And they just want to be the be all end all. You find up, I'm up all night. I've got to work a full-time job because he's not working. And so we've got all the resources to help. as well as the fact that they can go to these meetings and meet others that are doing exactly what they're doing.
People that are walking in their shoes.
Yes.
And they can give their own experience
Right.
and tips that might be exactly what somebody needs to hear.
Yep. And to see them get together and look at each other like, oh, you're dealing with this too, you're dealing with that. That makes me feel good that, because you feel like I'm the only person dealing with this and I don't know what to do.
Right. And knowing that there's other people in your same situation.
Yep.
And then sometimes when you go to a support group, you really click with somebody,
Yes.
and then you can make a new friend who
Right.
truly understands you and get together with that person, because a lot of times, as you know, your social circle diminishes.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things, even with dementia, they start backing up. I don't want to go play cards anymore because I might not do what I'm supposed to do and I'm going to embarrass myself. Or the flip side of it, they don't want you to come play cards because you're not doing the right thing. And
Right.
you're not, or the wife doesn't want to leave her husband and go play
Or shouldn't
tennis in the
leave
morning,
him.
or shouldn't leave him. So they end up with zero social. They can call their friends on the phone and that's about it. And it's frustrating.
Yeah. And sometimes they can't even talk on the phone because if their spouse is paranoid or
Yes,
jealous,
right.
they think you're talking to a boyfriend or a girlfriend,
Right.
and they don't even want you on the phone.
Right. And are you talking about me? And what are you saying about me? I'm still here. I can hear you.
Uh-huh.
I can. So to meet others that understand it, that they can come over to the house maybe and have coffee together.
Yeah,
And
it's great.
It's going to be a great resource. And like I said, Shane Silver with Keller Realty, she's the one that's putting it together. So
Okay.
I can, if anyone wants to get in touch with me, I will definitely
Keep
put
you informed of when
Yep.
that's not started yet, but it is a national
Yes, so you can look it up online. Yeah, it's aging. It's adult children of aging parents.
Okay.
ACAP, and you can pull it up and see exactly what they do, and it's great.
Great, that's good. And I would encourage you, if you're not an adult child and you're a caregiver or a spouse or a other family member, to seek out a support group near you. They used to be all online with COVID, but people are starting to come back now in person, and there's so many out there that are meeting in person if that's something you'd like to do. And so there's resources for that too. Well, Amy, we've talked a lot about a lot of things, but I understand that you brought some special guests with you today.
did.
You did? I'd like to meet them.
did.
I'd like to meet them.
So I brought baby Brian,
Oh my gosh!
and I brought baby Bailey,
baby Brian and baby
baby
Bailey.
and these were baby dolls that I brought my children in Belpre, Ohio, to the Lee Middleton Doll Factory to have these babies made. And then as they got older, they didn't want them anymore. But they still brought such comfort to anybody that ever looked at them. So when I was with hospice, I started bringing those to that were end of life, that did nothing but lay in bed, or they were frustrated. Most of them had dementia. And it was such, I saw the emotion that came out when they saw the babies, that I just continued it, and now it's part of my unique baby experience. And so I'll go into buildings that have memory care. I usually come in with a pink stroller, and I've got 4 of them now. So these are just 2 of the 4.
4 babies?
4 babies. So people now relate
Are
me
they
to the
quadruplets?
They're quadruplets, yes. I've got 2 boys and 2 girls, and it's cute. I have to say the women are the nurturers, so they'll hold them, zip them up in their sweater, rock back and forth. It's sometimes they cry. It's very emotional. The men love them. They teach them how to whistle. You'll hear them over there whistling with baby Brian. Teach them how to whistle. We'll put puzzles in front of them, so they're teaching them how to do the puzzle. They crack jokes. They sing songs. They show them magazines. So it's really, it opens something up in their brain that just brings them back again to a beautiful place. And so immediately their heart is softened. And now when I walk into the memory care, because now I have different buildings that I go to on a regular basis, they cry when I show up because they're so excited. And then they cry when I leave because I have to take the babies home. But I have to say, probably one of the most memorable moments was walking into a memory care, and we had a gentleman that was sitting in a chair, nonverbal, and could not move. But as I walked around the room, I could see him, his eyes following me through the room. So I took a baby and I set it on his lap and kind of wrapped his arms around it. And he looked down, and you could see his eyes opened up, and he started singing a lullaby.
And before that, he was nonverbal?
Nonverbal for 4 years. The aides started crying. They whipped their cameras out to send to their family members. Then you found out he was a retired OBGYN.
Oh my gosh.
So you knew there was an
What a Yes, he had
Yes!
the connection.
The connection.
There was a connection.
And that was it. He looked, and it was a baby, and it brought him back to a beautiful place. And so that's always our goal. I mean, sometimes people don't have pleasant memories with having babies at home, so they don't want to hold them, or they don't want to be around them.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes they don't want to hold them because they're afraid they're going to
Can I
drop
hold
them.
one?
Yeah.
This is Brian.
That's baby Brian.
Hey, it feels like a real
they're
baby.
weighted, right.
They're
weighted.
weighted.
And sometimes they don't want to hold them because they're afraid they're going to drop them. So I will just sit next to them and I hold them. And then they can touch them and sing to them. And
I have to tell you that they are so realistic.
they are.
I mean, the hair, the expression.
Oh, and when I walk
the
into
little
buildings,
eyelashes.
yes, independent living, assisted living, all staff members, they all want to hold them. So I have to be careful even when I'm in the car. I have to cover them with the blanket because someone will think they're real and I've left them in a hot car and smashed my window open. So I have to be very careful because they look very realistic.
Yes, they do.
But they bring so much joy. They bring so much joy. And they each have a name. And sometimes they'll remember the name or they'll ask for a specific baby. But I do this, yeah. Especially the buildings that we are the preferred home health company. I do memory care every other week and bring the babies in there.
But I can see how this would be comforting to someone.
It is.
Holding on, having memories, rocking in a rocking chair, just like, we used to rock our own
Yep.
babies. And that brings back some good memories.
It
And
does.
so for people that, might even be anxious,
Right.
wouldn't this help calm them down?
Absolutely. It's the same effect like a hug would bring you. So if I find that maybe somebody's new to memory care and they're frustrated or they're scared and they don't know where they are, and if I bring a baby and I'll even lay it so that the baby is holding them, it's a hug. They're getting a hug from something that immediately is going to bring them comfort. And it works almost 100% of the time. It's really great.
I love
great
this little
experience.
baby.
Yeah.
Very, very cute. A lot of people might say, well, gee, that's an infantile thing to do, to give an older person a baby doll to play with. But I think they don't understand,
They
what
don't.
you just explained,
Right.
that there's really a purpose behind it.
And I have to say, we always suggest, because I do the same day each month, that the family members come and watch. They can see a difference. There are times that either a spouse or the children do not want to see their dad holding a baby or whistling to it or playing with the puzzle.
They don't want to see that
No.
because they think it's ridiculous.
It's insulting.
It's insulting.
My mom does not want to hold that baby. I don't want her. But then they see what it does to her and how calming it is, and it makes a difference. And your mom's a different mom now. She's just a different mom
And it
now.
changes their perception
It does.
and their perspective of
It
what's
does.
really going on with their parent.
It-
So they come
absolutely.
around to learn. I mean, that's an education thing that
Yes.
they've learned to appreciate.
And if you hold a baby, and there was the favorite thing, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who I absolutely love, it was just, if you do a
he's
good
sucking his
deed for
thumb now.
somebody, they love to do that. But if you do a good deed for somebody, the person that you're doing that good deed for, whether it's to give a baby to, it raises their endorphins. It also raises their immune system. It also raises your immune system and raises your endorphins. And you know what? Everyone else in the room that's watching this happen, all of their endorphins are raised. So just being kind and gentle and just taking a moment and being compassionate, it saves our lives because our immune systems are built. Really,
Yeah,
truly.
It's true. I mean, this little baby even has the capacity to suck his thumb.
Uh-huh. And I find sometimes when I'm talking, I start doing this.
It's
rocking.
it's automatic,
You
right?
automatically want to
It's-
do. So it serves a purpose in there, and it gives them a purpose. They get to be with the baby that day. And some want to take their clothes off and change their diapers or feed them their applesauce or.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for bringing
You're welcome.
the babies to visit us
We
today.
got the babies.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got some final words from Amy Decker from Senior Helpers. We'll be right back.
Somewhere at the corner of bewildered and confused is a lost mother, a father, a sibling, or grandparent. Wandering is a common symptom of Alzheimer's or related dementias and can often make those who care for a loved one feel just as lost. If you're looking for a place that's safe and secure, look to Arden Courts. Memory care is all we do. We know, we understand, we can help. To learn more, visit arden-courts.com. Arden Courts follows equal housing opportunity
You
guidelines.
are listening to your host, Marsha Teal, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on caregiversolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marsha. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
We're back with Amy Decker. She is with Senior Helpers, and I just want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You are so unique, right?
Aw.
And all the things that you do are so unique, and I love the babies you
Mm-hmm.
just showed us. I want to talk about one more thing in the short time we have left,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something you call a life profile assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that to everybody, what you do and the purpose of what that's all about.
Right. So Senior Helpers is, they partner with a company that puts together a life profile assessment. It is a plug and play on a computer program, safety factors in the home. So we use this as part of our initial assessment. So we start the minute we pull in their driveway, we look at the front porch. You know, are the steps uneven? Are they maybe too high? Are they chipped? Is the step going into the house too high? Is the rug as you walk in slippery and doesn't have a rubber backing on it? You walk through the entire house. Are the medications stored near cleaning supplies?
That would be bad.
Or are they all over the house, just completely unorganized? Is the bed too high? Is the toilet too low? Are there throw rugs all over the place? There's a bazillion things that you go through, and you just plug this in, answering each part of it. And then as you get to the end of it, it shows you this is the percentage of this person ending up in the hospital because of a fall,
Wow.
or mismanaging their medications, or falling out of bed, or getting on or off the toilet, whatever it is. And then you can show it to the families and say, you know, these are the things that we need to change in the house right off the bat. We do it in homes. We also do it in the communities.
Because a lot of times people that are in like independent living or regular assisted
Right.
living, they may have something that they shouldn't have because
Right.
no one's really thinking about that.
Right. So very often, those buildings will ask us to come in, and sometimes we'll do it even just for everybody in the whole building, just to say everybody's safe and sound, and then we let that building go to the residents and say, these are things we could probably change within the room to keep them from going into the hospital or not taking their medications. Very often, maybe after they come home from a hospital or a rehab stay, we'll go back in and reassess it just to see how things have changed. And then we watch the progress. So if something did happen, and then we do the life profile, we can see the progress that they've made. We'll go back every so often and redo it. And then you see a big difference.
Well, that's especially important. Like you said, if someone goes in the hospital and then maybe goes to rehab and now they're coming home with a walker or a wheelchair,
Yep.
right?
Right.
It's a game changer for ambulating, things in the way.
Clutter, where
Clutter.
the furniture is, where the coffee table is in comparison to where they're going to be sitting. So that's exactly what our nurses do, is they walk through to make sure there's plenty of space. Whatever on the floor is going to be safe. Shower and bathroom is a huge big deal. So how safe
Talk
is
about
the shower?
that. Some of the things you would look for. in the-
Right. So the shower is important because that's where most slip and falls happen. They're soapy feet, they're wet. So they'll look into the shower to find out, do they have a bench? Do they have a shower chair? Do they have grab bars? And not the kind that suction cup to the wall, because those can come off.
They can come off.
They can.
Let me tell you, those can come off. I have a suction cup for a squeegee in my shower. In the middle of the night, I heard this bang.
Clang.
I thought someone was breaking in the house. And I realized, where did it come from? What was the noise?
Right.
Before I pulled my gun out, right? and I realized it was the suction cup
Right.
just fell off the wall.
And the mindset is, if I buy the suction cup one, A, it's cheaper, B, it's not permanent, I'm not screwing holes into my tile. It's not safe. It's not safe. So that's another resource that we have companies come in, and they make everything in the bathroom safe. Sometimes there's a lip that goes into the shower, that we have companies that can come in and make it just an easy glide right into the bathroom.
With no lip.
Is the toilet seat too low, that we can get something to elevate the toilet seat for them? Where are the medications stored within the bathroom? So many things can happen in the bathroom. So
And you think about it, I can tell you right now, I know several people, elderly people, who have fallen in the bathroom,
Yep.
hit their head on the
Yep.
sink or the toilet, and that was the beginning of the end, unfortunately, for them.
right. So if we can, on the onset of going into their house to care for them, find these problems before they happen, that's the most important thing, is finding it before it happens, keeps them out of the hospital. And then for the kids that live upstate or up in north, they don't have to worry as much because they know our nurses are there constantly assessing to make sure everything in the house. And again, it's not a senior helpers selling the program. It's a program that we use. And like I said, in buildings, we'll give it to.
You use them for your clients.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it's important. You want to have the best situation for your clients and educate the family and
Right.
make it all the best case scenario
That's
all
right.
the way around.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it's really been a huge success.
that's awesome.
Peace of mind again for family members.
And I think that's the most important thing is peace of mind.
Yeah.
Knowing that a family or a individual has done everything they can to prepare and then to plan for any outcome.
Right. And families entrust us. So if they're calling us from New Jersey crying in the middle of the night, my dad's getting out of rehab tomorrow, I've got to get somebody there right away, I can't be there. We can be there, we can assess the house, we can get things in order. We work with great durable medical equipment companies, general contractors to make the house safe. Whatever happens, we can make that happen. And because we've got so many great resources in Palm Beach County, we're like one big family. We all jump in and make it work.
So you coordinate all that.
Yeah.
So you're like a one-stop shop
Yeah.
for helping seniors.
That's right.
Therefore, senior helpers.
That's right. That's right.
So if someone's listening, or a lot of people are listening that are liking what we're talking about, and they want to either ask you some questions or maybe take advantage of some of your serve them to do that.
So we have a website, which is Senior Helpers South Palm Beach County, and that has all of our information, what we do. It also gives you a spot. You can go into the Senior Helpers website and type in your zip code. And wherever the zip code is, it will give you the next closest Senior Helpers office
good.
that can assist you.
Yeah.
So often they'll say, well, I need something in Michigan. What do I do? Put the zip code in, and it's going to give you all the companies that work within that zip code
That's
area.
great.
We also have a wonderful Facebook page that I'm the admin of, and so I have a lot of fun with it. You'll see a lot of babies on that. And it's our Senior Helpers South Palm Beach County Facebook page. And that we do all sorts of things. We have Caregivers of the Month, we have the babies, Teepa Snow, whatever's going on, we try to make sure, because Facebook is such a big deal now.
Yeah.
So we keep that very fresh. But both that and our website, you'll be able to find anything.
And your office number.
And the office number again is 561-969-9990.
All right. So you can call Senior Helpers, get help
Yep.
for your senior,
Uh-huh.
and talk to Amy, and she'll be glad to help you.
Very much so.
I want to thank you so much for
Aw.
being here today.
Thanks,
It's been a
Marcia.
pleasure. I love talking with you,
I know.
and everybody out there. Senior Helpers is a great company. Thank you for sharing, bringing the babies today.
And thank you for who you are. I think with the first time I met you too was the same thing. I was just so enamored with the things that you knew that I'm so happy that we've been friends for so long, because we can really work well with each other.
Well,
So I
we're
appreciate
in
you.
healthcare,
That's
right?
right.
And the people that are in healthcare that have been a long time, like me, 22 years, you have a heart for what you do.
Yes, you have to.
And you have,
You have to.
and you won't last if you
You'll
don't.
burn
And
out.
and that heart, and it gets bigger and bigger, right? So
That's right.
thank you for your heart and all
Aw.
that you do. And I want to thank you, the audience, for listening today. You either can find us on caregiversolutions.info. That's the website. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are also on iHeartRadio under Oldies. And of course, we are on about 6 different Southeast Florida radio stations every Tuesday, 7 to 8 p.m. So tell your friends and family and join us. And also don't forget to send an email to get your free book, Untangling Alzheimer's. And that email address is delray@arden-courts.com. I hope you join us next week. We'll have another wonderful show for you. In the meantime, take care and stay well. And don't forget what Amy said, right? Be prepared and call Senior Helpers if you need help.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Good evening.
Thanks Thanks for joining us for this week's Caregiver Solutions with Marcia Teal. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on caregiversolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more Caregiver Solutions.
The content, information, and opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guests.